Welcome to the Heart of a Viking. This channel offers elementary art lessons taught by Mrs. Minto from the Cape Henlopen School District in Delaware. I look forward to virtually creating with you. There are new lessons posted weekly. Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss a single one. So go grab your art supplies and your thinking caps and let's begin. Well, fifth grade artists, I'm excited to begin this project with you because of a couple of reasons. One, cutting snowflakes is super fun. Second, because this work of art is beautiful, especially if you're able to hang it in a window so that the sunlight can shine through it during the day. It'll look so lovely. So what we're about to make is called a stained glass snowflake. And all we need is a dark piece of paper. Actually, any color will work. I just like it with the dark lines. And some tissue paper and some glue and some scissors. So grab your supplies and let's get started. All right, so we're going to start with a black piece of paper that is a square shape. I'm using a pretty large one here. Mine's 12 inches by 12 inches. It's pretty big, but you can use any size piece of paper to do this. It's just the larger size gives you the opportunity to add more color and it just looks better hanging in a window. So as big as you can get it is perfect, and just make sure that it's a square to start with. Now, if you've never folded a paper snowflake before, we're about to. So I'm going to start with the bottom right corner and fold it up to the top left corner. So I'm changing my square piece of paper into a triangle shaped paper. So here I am folding this across, making this nice and flat. Perfect. Okay, so now I have a big triangle. This reminds me of a mountain. Now I'm going to take the bottom right and fold it over to the bottom left, this way. Fantastic. And my little mountain shape just becomes a smaller mountain shape. It's still a triangle. I'm going to flip it around here in a second. There we go. And I'm going to use the plastic edge of my scissors by holding the blades and flatten that out. I'm pushing down pretty hard. It's hard to tell here, but I really am pushing down pretty hard to make those edges really flat. The flatter you can make them, the easier it will be later to cut the snowflake pieces out. So I made it nice and flat. All right, so here is the trickiest part of this project. I need to fold this edge over and down towards the center. And when I do that, I need the top to stay pointed. So my left hand is holding that top point, making sure that I don't pull too far across with my right hand. And I'm folding this right about to the middle. That looks pretty good. When I fold it across and down, there's like a little tail or a little leg hanging out the bottom. And of course, I'll press that down once I have folded it nice and flat with my scissors. Okay, once yours looks like mine, I'm going to take this other edge right there and bring it over to match up with this one. So this is a different step. This is not the same as last time. This time, I'm trying to stack these right on top of each other. So I need to pay attention to that edge over there and make sure that everything is stacked on top. And then once it is, use your finger or the plastic edge of your scissors to push that down. The flatter, the better. Trust me. So yours should look like this. It should be very pointy at the top, almost rocket ship-like with flames coming out the back. There's kind of a pocket on the back side, and I'm going to use that pocket that I found as my guide here because I need to cut off these little legs that are at the bottom, just like that. Perfect. So I just cut straight across under that little pocket. Okay, now I'm ready to start making my snowflake. So to make a snowflake, cutting a triangle shape out is the easiest. If you want to pre-draw them like I just did with a pencil, that's fantastic. If not, you can just start cutting too. The only trick is you want to make sure that there's a little bit of uncut space between each of your cuts. You can cut any shape, any size, any length that you can. Triangle's the easiest, but you can switch it up and change it. This does take a little bit of practice, so if you want to start on a practice sheet of paper, you absolutely can if you've never done this before. If you're an expert at snowflake making, then I challenge you to make many different cuts and different shapes so that you have a nice interesting snowflake that's unique. So I'm cut already from the bottom, and now I'm cutting from what's sort of the right side of the snowflake, and then I have to remember to cut also from the left side of the snowflake. And then once you're done cutting from the sides and you feel pretty comfortable with that, next you can challenge yourself to cut the corners if you want. So when I cut the corners off, I'm altering at the bottom here, I'm altering the outside edge of my opened snowflake. So I'm kind of predicting the future here. Once I open this up, it affects the outside edge. Now, if I cut this top point up here, if I cut that off, I'm actually creating a space in the center of my snowflake. So right in the middle of that snowflake once it's opened up. So you can take those off if you want or leave them on if you want. Now, here's something that I like to do to give a little bit extra interest to my snowflake. I take my scissors into spaces that I've already cut out and I make little cuts from inside of there. When I do this, I end up with such interesting and unique snowflakes that are unlike any other snowflakes that I ever make before. It's really hard to make two snowflakes that are exactly the same more than once. So it's really fun to put my scissors inside of those spaces and cut out some extra pieces. So all I'm going to do now is look for some really big chunks, like really big black areas right now, and try and cut a few more little interesting shapes from those spaces before I call the cutting step finished. All right, that looks good. I'm going to take and clean up a little bit here before I do the next step. I'm going to take these scraps and recycle them or put them in the trash, wherever is best for you to be putting your scraps. Put away my pencil. I will need my scissors again in a little while, but put them to the side for now. And then once you have yourself all cleaned up, the next thing you're going to do is begin to open your snowflake. Now, I like to do this slow. And every time I open one of the openings, I like to fold it backwards. So you can see me folding it backwards, the opposite direction. That really helps later in getting this to lie flat. So open slowly, and as you do, every little fold here, fold it the opposite direction so that it lies a lot more flat once you get the whole thing opened up. There it is. What do you think? Looking pretty good, right? Okay, so I want you to find whichever side you think is the back. Mine is going to be where I can see some of the white pencil marks from my drawing earlier, and I'm going to write my name on that. And this is an important step, even if you're at home by yourself, because we want to declare which side's the back. That's going to help us in this next step. All right, so I want you to write your name and then flip it to the back and keep your name side up, just like mine is. And what I would really like for you to do is find symmetry. Now, symmetry, remember, is something that's the same. So I found two of my shapes that I cut out that are the same, that are opposite from each other. And I'm going to use a small piece of tissue paper to make them orange. Notice I'm working on the back of my paper. So I'm just going to cut kind of a rough shape. This does not have to be, perfectly the same shape as the little cutout there. Actually, I like mine to be a little bigger. Put a little bit of glue stick around the edge, and then stick that on. And again, this doesn't matter because this is the back, so however it looks from this side, not a huge problem. I just don't want any of the orange leaking over to the other spaces. Now look at it from the front. It's fantastic. Okay, so let's find the matching one from the other side, this symmetrical shape. There he is. Take my piece of same colored paper, and I'm drawing my line so I know where to cut. Cut that out and glue it on the exact same way using your glue stick. Perfect. Oh, nope, not perfect. There we go. Okay, now perfect. Then I'm gonna peek at this from the front again and double check, making sure that the orange isn't leaking into the other spaces or hanging over into the other spaces, and I just want it to be just those two. Now, I have some other similar spots. I can either make those the same orange as well, or I could make these next two a different color. I'm going to stick with the orange. I have 6 of these shapes that I'm going to make orange all the way around. All right, just a quick note here. I had used up all of my little orange papers that I was using before. Now I have a big sheet of orange. So do you see where I'm cutting the shape from? It's from the corner of this big orange paper I have. I'm not cutting from the center. If I cut from the center, it's really wasteful for that orange piece of paper. So if you have large sheets of tissue paper, make sure you cut from the corners. You'll use up the paper better, and you'll actually get more use out of the paper than if you were to cut from the center. So make sure you always cut from the corners whenever you are starting a new sheet or a bigger piece of paper like this. All right, my friends, so this is going to be my last step for today. We've already been working on this for definitely longer than one class time, so it's good to take a break and refresh our creativity. So put this somewhere safe, and when you come back next week, come back with some other colors of tissue paper if you have some other ones at home. And I can't wait to continue this with you next time at The Heart of a Viking.